Hey, Vision. I tell you, it is great to see you here this morning at Vision. I got to talk about something important. At our house, there's something we guard. There's something we guard that is very valuable. And if you remember last week, I had the box up here, the fire safe. We also got a gun safe. We got locks on our doors. But there's something in our house that we guard, and it is of vital importance. In fact, in our family, sometimes we guard it from each other. If someone comes into our house, we guard it from them. Sometimes we'll even hide it behind stuff to make sure it can't be infiltrated by anybody. No one can get their hands on this precious commodity that is of high value, especially to me. It is one of the most important things in the world to me that we guard, and it's cookie dough. Now, who in here likes cookie dough? Who likes cookie dough? Now, tell me, are you a roll cookie dough person or a tub? Like if you're a roll cookie dough, are you definitely like a tub cookie dough person, okay? And now we won't let like the FDA or something know. Who's like a raw cookie dough eater in here? Because I am. That is the best way to go cookie dough. So that literally in our house, Meg, she does the shopping, the food, she gets it, puts it in there, and she's like, don't eat the cookie dough until it's cooked. Well, I'll go in there, and it's like, I say, hey, baby, I got all kind of vices in my life. This is not a really bad one, but I'm going in there, end of the day, cutting some of that off, eating it, and it goes down and down and down. So what I do, middle of the week, I go to the store and I buy another one and replace it. And she has no idea that I get into cookie dough. So cookie dough is truly under wraps at our house. And as we go through this series, we're talking about guarding. But before I get into the series, let me tell you something. It is great as a pastor to step up here on a Sunday the week after we had our biggest Sunday ever. It's great to step up here as a pastor the week after we had 40 students in here for Ignition. It's great to step up here and say last week we had, count them, 7 first-time families come to our church. When I talk to other church planners around the country, I can't tell them numbers like that because they're going to feel like we're bragging. We're bragging on God, but I don't want to. They're like, we had like 7 last fall, and I'm like, no, we had 7 last week. And it's so cool that God is doing things at our church. And when you hear these 3 words, you'll see them on signs, you see them on banners: real, relevant, and community. That's what we're about. Community, it means we're a family, and we'll welcome anybody in this family. We got a guy, if you see him back in VizKids Trailblazer today, hobbling around because he had surgery this week. Community is that people called him and texted him and brought him food and went to see him in the hospital. That's community. Relevant is these students, 40 of them, that came in here last night. If you remember, they changed the time of the Panthers game. NFL, man, they changed it to 4:30 last week. And we're like, that's going to cost us students. They're not going to come at 6 o'clock. And we had 40 students in here hearing a volunteer, Kier, who heads up our student ministry, hearing him flipping spatulas and talking about globes and how we're not of this world. There's different worlds we're living in spiritually. He talked about it. Students soaked it in and then went to small group, and they talked in their small group about things that had to stay in small group because they mattered that much. That is relevant. And then real is that we talk about things that really matter in your week. That you go into work tomorrow, hopefully, and say, you're not going to believe what we talked about at church yesterday. You're not going to believe the visuals they used to help me remember this. Real is a first-time family coming to me after the service saying, the student saying, we want to come back because what you spoke about spoke to me. That's real. That's our church. Real, relevant, community, that's vision. Now today, we're going to continue our guardrail series. And if you missed last week, I encourage you, go online and see it. Go to viz.church, check out those sermons online. We talked about part 1 of guardrails, the most important thing to guard, which is your heart. Let's take a quick look at the verse that stood out last week. Is going to keep coming up through the series in Proverbs. Because remember, last week we talked about Warren Buffett, the potentially wisest investor in the world right now. We can't get to him. We can't get one-on-one with him. But we can get one-on-one with Solomon, who many generations ago was the wisest guy. People traveled to hear him. People gave him gifts to get his advice. And he said this, Proverbs 4:23. In fact, let's read it together. Read this with me. Above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. Now, we're going to unpack that some more today so that wellspring, hopefully, when you leave today, you'll understand even a little better this concept of wellspring. And again, in case you missed it or in case it's foggy, real quick, part one was why guard your heart? Why guard your heart? Three things real quick. Your heart is extremely valuable. It is so valuable. It's not like my boys when they roll the trash can out on Wednesday night. It sits by the road unguarded. Nobody cares about our trash can because it's not valuable. But the cookie dough, that's valuable. Your heart, though, seriously, is extremely valuable. The second thing we said was your heart is the source of everything you do. It's great if you got talent. It's great if you got charm. It's great if you got good looks. She's got them. She's got the good looks. She's got them. You're handsome, but she's got the good looks. If you got all those things, that's fine, but none of that things matter if your heart isn't beating with a passion that God gives you. It's the wellspring. It's like going out to Crowder's Mountain, remember, running that trail and coming to that pump, and it's empty. I'm going to unpack that a little more later today. The third thing, your heart is constantly under attack. It's under attack. I talked about a couple of heart diseases. I talked about atherosclerosis and how your arteries shrink when they get clogged up with stuff. I talked about congestive heart failure, where your heart walls, they get weak and they can't beat. And I said, our heart's the same way. When we don't listen to God's word, it's like our arteries get hardened. When we let temptation or pride or anger get into us, it's like our heart's getting weak and it can't beat. So I hope you left last week believing me and agreeing in the fact that we have to guard our heart. We have to. It is, like Solomon said in Proverbs, above all else, it's what we need to do, guarding our hearts. Now today, we're going to take some props. And you know me, I love using props. And with these props, they are vision bottles. Now, when I was thinking about this, I thought, people in the back aren't going to be able to really see these all the way, so I got a member of our family, she's actually a part-time member right now, to model this for me. So take a look at Coco from the Vanderbilt House as she shows you the genuine Vision logo bottle. So we're going to come back to that a little bit later. Just in case someone's getting sleepy near you at all, you can poke them at the end and say, wait a second, Pastor Matt's got some at the end he's going to do with these bottles. So make sure you're waiting on that. But today we're unpacking how to guard your heart. I hope you got your takeaway card. There's a couple things to fill out in there and a couple things to read during the week. But I want to start off with this, talking about how we guard things in our society. Because we all have things that matter to us, things that are valuable to us. Now what if you were like a big hip-hop star, movie star, TV star? You would want some people around to guard you. What would we call those people if they're guarding you? Bodyguards. You want big, strong, sometimes even mean-looking guys. They're going to walk around and follow you around to keep people away from you, so you're guarded. Now, what if you're like an entrepreneur who has businesses, you own malls everywhere, and so one of your malls, who would you guard your mall with, you think? You would guard him with the mall cop. Of course you would. Now, here's a tougher one. If you're in charge of guarding the country, you said, oh man, I got Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, I got, all these things. I said, no. Way above that, you got this guy. You got Jack Bauer. Because Jack Bauer, his cell phone never dies, his gun never runs out, and he can take any hit, and he is going to protect our country. Okay, so he's a guard. But dear to us, in this part of the country, if you're trying to guard a piece of land about 10 yards deep, about as wide as a football field, and balls are flying in the air, you don't just pick a Pro Bowler, you pick an All-Pro. And when that ball's in the air, Bill, who do you pick? You pick Mr. Josh Norman. And he gets in the air and he guards that end zone with a passion. And God wants us to think about our heart the same way. He wants us to think about guarding our heart, and he wants to help us do it with some pieces I got for you today. And I'll tell you, today I got 4 pieces. 4 pieces we're going to talk about. And it all revolves around a word that sometimes we cringe at. The word is discipline. And you say, oh, man, I don't want discipline. I don't want to hear about discipline. I don't want somebody to tell me what to do, and I don't want to feel constrained. And discipline. That's like those guys who get up and go to the F3 fitness thing at 5:30 in the morning in the dark and the cold. I don't want discipline like that, or I don't want rules and I don't want regulations. Let me tell you about discipline. Discipline, to me, is about identifying a goal and creating a path to get there. And while you're on that path, it's corrections along the way. You start veering, you say, wait, I'm going toward that goal. Discipline is back on that path. Discipline is fixing your mind on something and going after it. And when you start to veer a little bit, you pull it back. So I hope we're all in agreement that the discipline for us is going to be to guard our hearts. So I'm going to tell you 4 ways today that we can create disciplines in our life to help us guard our hearts. So let's jump in. The first one, in your takeaway card, or you can pick it up again online, is the discipline of reflection. The discipline of reflection. Now, our minds, I don't even understand how amazing is the capacity of our minds. What I read, it said that we have the capacity to potentially store 100 trillion thoughts in our mind. I can't understand those numbers. I really can't. But when you think about your mind and all the immensity of what it can contain, God wants us to be able to organize that. He doesn't want it to be so overwhelming for us that we can't function. It affects our heart. He says things in his words like this. Take a look at 2 Corinthians 10:5. It says, we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. That we would take time to reflect at the end of our day and think, what kind of things came to me today? What kind of thoughts came to me today? What options came to me in my day that I need to stop and think about it? And if you're like me, it's hard to stop sometimes. When you go all day and you work all day and then you go to ball practice and you go to this, you got to clean up the house and you just make it through the day and God says, wait a second, why don't you stop and reflect on what happened? Whether that for you is at night or in the morning, it's about protecting our mind. It's about being beware of some things. It's about watching out for false truths in your day. It's about thoughts that come into your head that are trying to take you off that path, that are trying to take you somewhere that you really don't want to go, that God doesn't want you to go. It's society, it's materialism, it's all these pieces of things trying to influence you with thoughts. You say, wait a second. That's off the path that I'm trying to go towards of having a healthy heart. And when we get so many thoughts in our head that it overwhelms us, we potentially can run so ragged that we can't think clearly anymore. And I'm talking about me. That's what happens. And next week, make sure you're here next week. Make sure you invite somebody. So in fact, we've got invite cards today you can take for guardrails. Next week, we're talking about setting up a guardrail in your life about your time. Because if you're like me, there are so many times you feel so compressed with your time and your day and your week that you say, I can't even hardly think. My time isn't my own anymore. How do I get it back so I can get the discipline to get back on track? And there's a book I'm gonna talk about next week. I'm gonna give you a little sneak peek here. It's called The Life You've Always Wanted. And if you're like me, sometimes your margins, your borders are so tight with your time that you don't feel like it's even your life anymore, let alone the life you always wanted. But this book we're gonna pull some things from next week and pull some scriptures to go along with it, are to talk about how when we actually reflect and slow down, we get our mind and our thoughts back, and God will work on that. All right, number 2, the discipline of rest. Okay, who is like a more than 8 hour a night sleeper? Who needs more than 8 hours? More than 8 hours, okay? And who are my short sleepers? Like like 6 and you're gone. 6 and you're good. Mike MacArthur needs like 4. Where am I? Yeah, he's like 4, 3, something. Okay, we're all different, but the reality is God, he gives us rest for a reason. He just doesn't say, well, you're running out of things to do. He's saying, look, you need to slow down. You need to, and the first piece, honestly, is getting enough sleep. And it's interesting. Sometimes I'm talking with people and they're like, I'm so tired. Man, I wish I could sleep in another hour. That would make all the difference. I say, hey, it's an easy way to get another hour of sleep. They're like, what? I said, go to bed an hour earlier. Instead of 11, go at 10. And then when your alarm goes off, you had an extra hour. And they're like, oh, no, I got to stay up and do something. The reality is usually to do something really isn't that much valuable. But it's about a discipline that says, look, guarding my heart's important. And when I am too tired to think and to function well, I need to come back to this midline of I need rest. God says daily you need rest. Now, also within that, though, we need naps. Okay, who are my nappers? And who has someone napping next to you right now? Oh, okay. Oh, no, down the little one, little one. That works, Rachel. I hear you. That's good. That's allowed. But seriously, naps. I'm not a big nap guy, but I'll unpack the way I do these things here in a minute. But if you're a nap person, you're modeling yourself after Jesus. The guy who, when he walked on earth, yeah, you're like, yes, I'm allowed to take naps. Great, Jesus did it. Jesus, the guy who, if you're new to church, the guy who was here 33 years, said he was the Son of God, did amazing miracles. I mean, we got all the stuff we could talk about him, but in all the things he accomplished in his 3-year window of ministry, he took naps. You read stories about him when they're in the boat and there's a storm going on. They're like, where's Jesus at? And they're like, he's in the bottom of the boat napping. What? Yeah, I'm like, yeah, Jesus, he took naps because he knew that he needed the discipline of rest. Now, how about, this is a tough one. This we're talking about stepping on toes, this step on my toes. How about the discipline of a Sabbath? Of a Sabbath, where truly one day a week, you're not working. I'm not working. And you're like, okay, well, Matt, how do you do that? Because Sunday you're like working, right? Like, yeah, mine isn't Sunday. Mine should be Friday or Saturday. The reality is, hey, I'm a type A. I'm going. I'm making things happen to where suddenly Friday's gone. I'm like, man, I didn't rest. Or Saturday's gone and I didn't rest. And it shows. It shows. When Meg looks at me and said, you're really tired. You're not looking good. You're not acting right. You're not. Let me tell you this. A year ago, when we were getting ready to open, and which should be, the most incredible time of my life, we're going to launch a church and all that. I was so short on rest. I was so short on exercise. I was so tense. I was feeling my neck. It's like, I don't like me. I did not like who I was behind the scenes a year ago. To where now I say, okay, God, I'm working on this. And the Sabbath piece, God says, look in his word here. Exodus 20, he's not just implying this. He says, remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, neither you, nor your son or daughter, nor your male or female servant, nor your animals, nor any foreigner residing in your towns. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that's in them. He rested on the 7th day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. So I'm telling you guys, and I'm telling me, we have got to be disciplined so you don't say, well, it's Sunday afternoon. We went to church, but I'm going to get on the computer and work for a couple hours. Now, occasionally, but truly, God designed it where your job is your job and your Sabbath is your Sabbath. And I'm speaking to myself on this, that we have to be disciplined. Because the other part of this is watch out for that overworked mind. I mean, if you're like me and it's night and you're checking your email and, oh man, that one gets you all riled up. And now you're just going on and you're like, wait a second. They didn't deserve to do that to me. Why did I check that text and it got me riled up? And God says, watch out for your overworked mind. And in 1 Peter, I love this verse. 1 Peter 4:7 says, therefore, be clear-minded and self-controlled so that you can pray. Because I know if you're like me and you check that email and that gets you riled up and now you can't even hardly lay in bed and sleep, like, well, I certainly can't pray and I certainly can't rest. And God says, exactly. Where's your discipline? Because that is trailing back to the health in your heart, Matt. That's what he's telling me. Now, the third discipline, the discipline of recreation. You say, man, I love that. My pastor wants me to do something fun. Let's go to Carowinds. And we go to Carowinds and we pack up the van and we go there and we spend the day and we're in line, we're in the sun and we're doing this. We come back home, we get home and I'm like, man, I am so much more tired than when I started. And there's a difference between amusement and recreation. And I love Carowinds, kind of. It started making me sick a couple years ago. But I used to really love Carowinds. But no, I love amusement. That's fun. But God says in his word, there's something about recreating yourself, about your heart, about letting God pour into you uniquely for you. So what it means is you need to discipline yourself to step back and say, what can I do to recreate myself? Is that getting outdoors? Is that playing with animals? Is that music? Is that an instrument? Is that going hiking? What does it look like for you? And I know a lot of times I'm going to say, man, I'm too busy. Or I'm going to feel guilty. Now, how can I go do something like that? When I talk about mine here in a minute, I had to get past that and say, I'm going to take some time to intentionally have the discipline of recreation so that my heart can be healthier. Now, the fourth one is discipline of relationships. And I love what Bill shared up here about small groups because that's one way we do it here at Vision. Let me talk about some steps toward that even, because I want you to be aware of fake connections in your life. Like, what? Fake connections? Man, I got all kind of friends. I got like 900 of them on Facebook and 300 on Twitter and Instagram, and people are texting and all that. And look at this, 200 people. I ran all those on Sunday. Wait. I want you to think about the difference between an acquaintance and a friend. That really, have you got a couple relationships in your life that is a discipline of a person in your life who helps your heart to be healthier? And again, those fake connections of, and I'm good on Facebook. I'm good. I mean, that's a good way to connect and talk, but that's not the way that you really connect with somebody in a relationship that makes your heart healthy. So this intentionality, I want to tell you for a minute about my 4, and then we're going to do this. Now, in my life, the discipline of reflection, for me, it happens in the mornings. Then at night, I'm tired. I'm not a night person. I mean, our team knows it's about 9:30 at night, and I'm fading. Woo, man, I'm gone. But in the morning, 5:30, 6 o'clock, I'm up, and I like to spend my time with the Lord in the morning. So I'm plain and simple. I'm getting my Bible out. I'm reading some things, asking God to teach me. And this isn't because I'm a pastor. This is just because I'm a guy. That I'm going to look in the Word, ask Him to teach me some things. I'm going to take some time to pray. I love getting out and walking my neighborhood. I want to give you the freedom. If you're the sleepy prayer, that you start praying and get sleepy, I think that's just a human condition. Get out and walk. Walk around your neighborhood. Talk to God. Whatever it looks like for you, that's what it looks like for me. My discipline of reflection happens every morning, and part of that is me saying, God, what happened yesterday? What influenced me? How did I act? How did I react? How about the decisions I made? And that's my chance to kind of get that heart-healthy peace from the discipline of reflection. Now, the discipline from rest, honestly, I'm not great at this because, again, I'm a check the email, check the text guy, even at night. I'm trying to work on that. And the Sabbath piece, I'm trying to work on that. But in terms of rest, going to bed on time for me and spending time, taking a nap occasionally, that's me. Whatever it looks like for you, I see some heads nodding saying, I want a nap this afternoon. I want a big lunch. I want a nap. I hear Pastor Matt on that one. I hear him. Okay, the third one, discipline of recreation for me. I like to exercise. I need to exercise and get blood flowing and all that going so that I can be healthier. I like hiking. I like going to Crowder's Mountain. But my one, which if you ask Scott Mann, the guy who's hobbling today, see him hobbling around, I would play basketball. And up until about a year ago, I had really backed off from that in my life until I realized, you know what, that's something I still like to do, even at 40-something. I still like to play basketball with these guys that are just out of, Ashbrook and Bessemer City High School, and I'm like, woo, try to run with them, but I get out there and play. And that's where, for me, and a couple guys in there we play with, I almost had a guilty thing of, oh, you mean you're taking time to go play basketball? Shouldn't you be working or doing more or meet with somebody? So no, I will do those things better when I go play basketball. So that's me. And then the fourth one, the discipline of relationships. It, of course, starts with my marriage. Me and Meg will be married 20 years this June, and we try intentionally spend time together. We go Friday lunch. If you know us, we're pretty much going to Tequila's or somewhere else on Fridays, spend time together. We spend time talking to where we finish dinner, and pretty much it's me and her time. It's not kids, it's not homework, it's me and her time. And so I pour into that. I pour into my kids. We do stuff together one-on-one. We do stuff as a group. We go coach our kids playing basketball. That's important to me. And then from there, it circles out into friends, into my men's group on Friday morning, into other groups I'm in here at Vision that I encourage you to serve in. With our worship and tech team, that's key relationships. Our Viz Kids team, I love meeting with them every other week. Our elders, meeting with them, it pours into me. So I encourage you, have the discipline of relationships in your life for a healthier heart. Now, what's up with these water bottles? Because these water bottles, we're going to have some fun with these for a minute. So, in fact, This is great. I love being small enough that we can have crowd participation and you can come into church on a Sunday and not know if I'm going to pick you. Now, the good news is you're not going to have to say anything if I pick you. So, in fact, let's see, Sarah, right? Sarah, come up here. Sarah, come up. So, Sarah's going to come up here. And she's going to take a spot right here. And again, if I pick you, you're not going to have to speak or sing, nothing like that. But Sarah, come on up, stand up here. And you're going to be our example of somebody who maybe feels kind of empty, kind of needs somebody to love on them, care for them, take care of them. And that's going to be kind of visualized, let's put this here for a minute, by an empty cup. You need somebody to pour into you. Now, I'm going to need 3 people to help me. So Shelly Gibson. Shelly, if you jump up here and help me out with that. Oh, I see hands. I was going to think through ahead. Kevin, if you can come help me out for a minute on that. And Tommy, can you come help me? Now, Shelly, actually, why don't you walk around this side? And Kevin, you guys come around this side. So if I can move this here. I'm sorry. Here you go, Shelly. Actually, you're all the way down this end. So Tommy, why don't you come take a spot next to me, and then Kevin, and then Shelly. Now, I appreciate y'all coming up and helping me with this. You won't get too embarrassed. Usually, like, some of my friends I know, like I coach with Kevin, I know if I need a scapegoat, that I can pick somebody that can be my scapegoat. So, thanks, Kevin. All right, but what I'm going to do here, is I'm going to give them each a bottle. So, Shelly, you hang on to that one. And Kevin, you're going to be that one. Okay? And then, Tommy, you're going to be that one. Now, again, Sarah, let's pretend, okay, you got this cup, and this is kind of a picture, and I will tell you that none of these actually relate to the person. So, like, okay, so don't read anything into that. Although I will brag on Shelly for a minute. Did anybody see the Gazette this week? Did anybody see that Shelly Gibson is up? She's one of the last 5 teachers for Teacher of the Year in Gaston County Schools. Yes. So excited about that. So proud of her. So proud of her. So back to Sarah. So here's Sarah, going through life, and she's dry spiritually to where she needs some help. She's looking for somebody to kind of pour into her. She doesn't know the terms, but she needs the wellspring of life to pour. So let's say Tommy here cross paths with her and has this chance. Now, our Genuine Vision logo bottles, and the cool thing, you guys are going to get to keep yours, and I will have one for you in a minute. They actually work like a straw, so for today's, we're actually going to remove the lid, and you'll work from there. So Tommy, take yours and come over here to Sarah and pour into her what you have. Okay, just pour it all in there, every last, nothing. Okay, so, all right, so Tommy, come back over here, because remember when I was talking about the Crowder's pump? And if you're done running and you're hot and thirsty and you go to that pump and there's nothing that comes out, you feel like Sarah, who has come across Tommy, whose heart is dry. That maybe he hasn't internalized the fact of the why your heart needs to be guarded or the how your heart needs to be guarded. So when the time comes and he has an opportunity to pour into her, he's got nothing. He's empty. Okay, well, Tommy, you keep that, and you can hand them back, and thank you for being up here. Appreciate Tommy doing that. Now next up, we got Kevin. And again, me and Kevin, we got the basketball court together. Let me just double check here, because Kevin, we got there with those boys, coaching basketball, and let's just say Kevin is like that pump at Crowder's, and he's got this chance. He's crossed paths with Sarah, so come down here and give her some of what you've got in your wellspring of life. And you can pour it into her, and you're like, oh, man. Okay, that's cool. So here's what we'll do. We'll leave the empty one here, and then, Kevin, you can take a spot here for a second, because Sarah, how you feeling? I mean, are you thumbs up or thumbs down on what Kevin has been able to give you? You not sure? Girl, I'd be thumbs down, because I wouldn't want to drink that. But that's up to you. That's your call. But if you're dry and you need, again, somebody's wellspring of life to pour into you, and Kevin has allowed, again, this is not an indicator of who you are, Kevin, but Kevin has allowed maybe God's word just to fly right by him. Maybe he's allowed temptation and anger and pride to decay in him, to where his wellspring is filled with that, and that's all he's got to give her. Okay, so Kevin, thank you. You can take that, and we'll put that one right here. All right. Now, next up, and I do have to say this one actually does fit for who Shelly is, because Shelly, take what you have and do what you do every day of your life when you have a chance to pour in. So pour in there of what you have to offer Sarah. And what Shelly, honestly, she does model well in her life. That's great. She models having a wellspring that flows, that Crowder's pump that pours out pure water. You feeling thumbs up or thumbs down on that one? Feeling thumbs up. Okay, so what Shelly has done in her life is she has allowed God to cultivate a heart, a wellspring of life. She's protected it. She's not perfect in that, but what she's got in her wellspring, she takes and pours into her. So if you would, you can take a seat. Thank you, Shelly. And you can keep that. Now, Sarah, come up here a second. Because, yeah, bring it up. Because, guys, here's what we're doing at Vision. Here's what we're doing. We are looking all the time for people with empty cups. That's what we do. And I want you and I want me to be people that take our wellspring and fill it with that stuff so that we pour into them in a way where now, honestly, you're going to have a chance to decide what you're going to put in yours and pour into others. So, girl, thank you for being up here. Appreciate that. Let's give Sarah a hand. You can keep that. Because with our hearts, life is going to try to tell us there are other things above that. God's going to say, no, no, no. Above all else, guard your heart. And with our heart, we have an opportunity in our life that I promise you, this week, people will come across your paths who are looking for something, and you'll have a chance to pour into them or not. You'll have a chance to pour refreshing or not. You'll have a chance to pour that or not, and it's on us. So what I want you to do is, again, spend an hour with us on Sunday. That's great. But I want you to spend time with God and reflect, rest and recreate and build relationships to guard your heart so it can be a wellspring. That's what I want for this church. That's what's happening. It is. So if you want to come on that journey with us, do that. If you came in here today saying, well, man, I don't even know how to get to there. I don't know this Jesus guy you're talking about, because Jesus, he was the ultimate wellspring. In fact, his is still pouring. It's so great that he is pouring into us today, lavishing his love on us. And no matter how you came in today feeling, he says, hey, let's start now. Let's move forward. So if you would, close your eyes, bow your heads, and we're going to talk for a minute to God.